What's up, Hive? It's your boy who has no plan whatsoever in life, Mata Brar, and today we have someone who is gonna bring this podcast intelligence up by a billion levels because, as you all know, I'm not a smart guy. And today we have someone on TikTok who I honestly think is one of the guys who's making TikTok smarter, Mr. Ethen Ostroff. How you doing, man?
Thanks so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. So you're a lawyer.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty recently barred attorney. I grew up in the Philadelphia area and went to Penn State for undergrad, then went to Drexel for law school, which is located right in downtown Philadelphia. I lived in downtown Philadelphia for my 3 years of law school. And I also have a couple of other interests. I manage some properties down in Philadelphia and dabble in real estate stuff. I practice in personal injury law. So, for example, I help people who are not at fault and get hurt. So if you are sitting at a stop sign, you get rear-ended and you don't know what to do, I'm the person that steps in and sues insurance companies involved. So my job is to protect and help people who are going through something that's not their fault and that they shouldn't be going through, and when insurance companies turn their back on them. So, my job is really to kind of pick up pieces where, things are struggling. So in terms of me a little bit, I'm 27 years old. I went straight through high school to college to law school to practice where I am now. I had an advertising major when I was in college, so I have a big interest in marketing and the sort of branding side of personal injury. And the coolest part about personal injury is you don't sell a product, you sell yourself. So I get to go in front of people and get people to trust me so that they end up retaining me. And if not me, my business model is that I promise that I will help you find representation if it's not an area that I practice in and if it's not a state that I practice in. I personally am not the kind of lawyer that, beats my chest in a courtroom. I like to make sure that I'm helping people. That's the most important thing to me.
So, that's awesome, man. That's just awesome. So you're basically looking out for the little guy, the guys that can't defend themselves really.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best line that I've heard, I'm sure you've heard of the law firm Morgan & Morgan. Yeah. They are like the biggest marketing law firm in the country. I have really close friends that work there. They're an awesome firm, but they put it perfectly. They're Morgan & Morgan for the people. Yeah. And they bully the bullies. And that's what I do. So I stick up to people who take advantage of the small people. And I do it in a way and work for free unless I get people paid.
That's good. That's good. So you said you're a Philly guy, right?
Correct.
So are you a Sixers fan?
I am definitely a big Sixers fan, but I've had season tickets to the Flyers my whole life. Oh. So I'm struggling right now without having hockey. It's been really tough.
Yeah. I'm a Calgary guy. So the Flame season is kind of over, but yeah. I'm an Oilers diehard.
You got my boy Talkin from South Jersey.
Yeah. But see, I'm an Oilers fan by just forever.
Okay.
So I can't see McDavid go up and just destroy everyone, and we still don't make playoffs. I'm so sad.
Yeah, it's a shame. There's nothing I miss more right now than just watching sports and talking sports. And
yeah.
As a suggestion for somebody who's going into, you told me while we were off the air, you're thinking about law school. Yeah. I can tell you that my knowledge of sports has helped me immensely in the business world. Being able to talk sports and to understand sports and to know details about it and to be the go-to guy about the Eagles when I worked in Philadelphia when we went on our Super Bowl run was just an awesome thing to have people like to talk to you about. It's awesome. Not work-related, and if you actually know what you're talking about, people really love to talk to you, so it can definitely help.
All right, so now I'm gonna ask you one law question to see if you are legit.
Sure.
Is murder illegal?
I would say yes.
Guys, he's legit. All right, so obviously I recognize you from TikTok, and so what made you want to start like TikTok and like giving law advice basically?
So I came up with the concept of what I want, what I'm doing on TikTok. Um, I came up with it a few years ago. You know, with the wave of influencers that have become famous from apps like Vine and
Yeah,
then transitioning to Instagram, YouTube, the thing about them is they were very narrow. You know, the Vine influencers were all comedy and were all just looks.
yeah,
And I kind of sensed that there's a wave of professional influencers that are on the way.
yeah,
And I I didn't see anybody in my industry doing it the way that I foresaw doing it, which was just give, but don't ask,
yeah,
and provide value to your crowd in a way that lawyers are just not doing. And typically, lawyers are just way too proud
hmm,
and old school to do anything other than put up a billboard.
yeah,
And you and I know that when you're driving on a highway, you're not looking at billboards. You just, it's almost white noise at this point. Just like when commercials come on TV, you're popping onto Instagram or onto TikTok on your phone.
yeah,
You know, people, in my mind, marketing is where attention is. And the most grossly underpriced attention right now is on LinkedIn and TikTok. So
LinkedIn.
to dabble, yeah, the organic reach on LinkedIn for really quality written content,
Oh yeah,
video content is really strong. You can get in front of people sort of like you could almost 8 years ago with Facebook on LinkedIn now. LinkedIn is behaving sort of like Facebook did a long time ago. But now, if you want to market on Facebook or Instagram, it's a pay to play game. And
hmm,
you have to buy the promotion ads. You can't just put content out and organically get, millions of views the way that I do on TikTok.
yeah,
So I saw TikTok as an opportunity where, when you look at marketing traditionally, you look what works and what has worked, not what's down the line. So
yeah,
I thought, this is a brand new blue ocean with no sharks in it yet. And I guarantee that sharks are coming. So I was the third lawyer on the platform.
yeah,
The first one was The Lawyer, who has like 2 million followers on there and has a hilarious type of content, but he's way funnier than me. I don't have that kind of content. That's just not my style. And there was another person named GA Lawyer who also does quality content, but a different style than me. There was
yeah,
nobody that was going directly to answering commonly asked legal questions in a way that can sometimes come off as controversial, but is straight to the point. So I just went for it and I put out a video in a way that was trending on TikTok at the time, where there was a song that goes, nope, yep, nope, yep. And I put my legal twist on it. So I put common misconceptions of lawyers in the nope, yep. So if you look at my TikTok,
yeah,
the first video I put out is like, do I actually chase ambulances? Nope. Do I wear suits every day? Nope. Is this a real background behind me? Yep. I just went and played with the concept that was trending on TikTok. And then as a result of that, my content came from comments on my TikToks and questions that I get asked. So in my practice, I get asked legal questions every day. I write them down. What happens if I sue my friend? Do they have to pay me? Of course not. There's these little questions that I get asked all the time that I just have turned into TikToks. And certain areas of law that aren't areas that I necessarily practice in as much, but relate to things I'm passionate about, like Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, like what to do in a police interaction, what to do if a police officer stops you in a consensual encounter, what to do in those scenarios. These are really important issues, and some of which have to do with profiling that I felt are really important to get in front of people. And to give you some context on the Fourth, Fifth Amendment stuff, I actually used to teach in North Philadelphia, Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights to high school students so that they would know what to do if they're in a bad situation with the police. Because if you know your rights, you really generally can escape certain situations that you would. Sort of my content style is I don't like to help people escape justice. I like to help people who are in a situation of injustice. And I don't tell somebody, if you're drunk and driving, you do this to escape getting in trouble. It's if you are stopped on the street by a police officer and they don't have probable cause or reasonable suspicion to stop you, do X, Y, Z to end that encounter. You know, there's a distinct difference there. So I know I kind of just rambled a little bit.
Yeah, no
but,
problem. Yeah, that stuff's like I just find this stuff interesting. Like how on TikTok, like was the Nope Yup thing? I think that was like what actually blew up for you first, right?
That video was my first video, and it went from 0 to about 50,000 views in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And my next video in 2 days went to 200,000 views. And then my third video, which in my mind, TikTok has a slight censorship problem.
Oh, they do 100%.
And I had a video that was taken off, which was my first million view video.
Mm-hmm.
I was standing on Broad Street, which is the main street in Philadelphia, with City Hall behind me. And I took a TikTok that said, if a police officer stops you without probable cause or reasonable suspicion, ask them, am I under arrest? Am I free to leave? If you're not under arrest, they must let you leave. And that actually got flagged by TikTok, which was frustrating, but you know, the virality already had happened.
Yeah.
So I had 1 million views on that. And since then, you know, the snowball kept rolling and I kept putting out different pieces of legal content direct to the point. You know, what to do in a slip and fall, what to do if you get bit by a dog, what to do if you get in a car crash, you know, these main topics that people really don't know what the hell to do. I just thought, why not just give them a very clear itemized 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4 that is a very legal style of like almost a summation. And it's almost like I'm doing a closing statement. And that's kind of the way that I've gone after it.
I just love that stuff, man. Law is something I'm really interested in. Like, because like right now I'm doing political science at the University of Calgary. And so once I graduate, I'm either going to go to law school, something along those lines. And I just find that stuff like so interesting. So yeah, and like you said with TikTok, like yeah, like there definitely is like some censorship problems with that. And speaking of that, like one thing I just thought of like right now, like are you by any way familiar with like copyright law, if any type of weight?
Not too much, to be honest. It's
All
not
right.
really my area.
All right, because one thing like because I obviously make YouTube videos as well, so I'm just trying to figure out like how like TikTok is able to withstand all the copyright claims with YouTube, if you have like 10 seconds of a song, it's automatically flagged.
Okay, so the way that works generally, I actually put out a piece of content about this.
Oh.
There's a law called fair use.
Yeah.
Which means if it's under 10 seconds and not for the purpose of advertising, typically you can use somebody's music. Mm-hmm. But the music on TikTok is typically brought onto it by the creators themselves. So sort of the goal of that is, you're not seeing much Beyonce on there. You're not seeing much Kanye West on there because those things would get flagged like that.
Yeah.
But you're seeing smaller artists that are willing to let this organic reach take their music places and get them in front of people that are letting this program say, oh my God, this young aspiring person from Calgary who made this incredible piece of music is something that I want to, mouth the lyrics to and dance to. So something that's so kind of on that subject, it's just I understand why you're asking the question, why would an artist do that for free? It kind of goes back to why would an artist sign up for Spotify? Yeah. Spotify does pay people to an extent, But on here, if you're smaller and you're trying to get some exposure, it's really good for you if you get your stuff in front of people.
Yeah. There's like one thing I was talking to my friends about, like obviously you know the song The Box. Like I personally don't believe that song would be as big as it is now without TikTok. Because like
Yeah,
that was like everywhere.
The most impressionable people on social media right now are the youngest people on social media right now.
Yeah.
And the youngest people on social media right now are on TikTok. So these are the people that are telling all their friends and sharing and commenting. It's not the boomers that are doing that stuff.
Yeah. All right. So how did you get your start in law? Like what made you say, I want to be a lawyer, I'm a fight for the little guy? Like what got you like into that kind of field?
So I am a third generation personal injury lawyer. My great uncle was a personal injury trial lawyer. He was really big in the Agent Orange cases, which were from Vietnam, the Vietnam War, where soldiers would come back with, all these deformities and cancer. Yeah. He dealt a lot with those cases. He also sued Caterpillar, which made forklifts, and the forklifts would collapse and land on its side and would kill people. And so my dad is also an attorney. I'm actually in practice with him at his firm right now. We have a firm of 32 people, 12 lawyers, and I'm the youngest attorney at the firm. And my job for that firm is I run our intake department, marketing department, technology, and referrals. And I'm also a litigator, so I'll help settle and try cases. I also run focus groups for my firm. So like if we have a really difficult issue going on, then I'll actually put it in front of a group of random 12 people and have them tell me what the answer is to that issue. So I know I just kind of went on a little different path, but I got into the law because it's been around me for a long time, but it's the combination of my skill sets. I'm a natural talker with people. I feel very comfortable around.
Can I just I just need to go open the door for my dog. 1 second.
Go for it.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there.
You're right. So the law is an opportunity to kind of mix skill sets. I love marketing. I love sales. I love to write. So I get the opportunity to kind of mix all those things. And I did grow up around it, so it was kind of always exposed to me. But I decided to go in my senior year of college. I actually had a full-time job at a sales company my senior year.
Yeah.
It's called Insight Global. They do staffing and recruiting. And I got it my first week of my senior year. So I had a job like lined up right after, I got to there my senior year. So I was, pumped about it.
That's awesome.
And as I got into my second semester, I started thinking about, maybe I want a backup plan because this company had a very high turnover rate. So I figured I'll take the LSATs and just see how it goes. And, I can use the score for 5 years. So in February, I applied myself to the LSAT, and I realized I really liked what I was studying. And, it wasn't natural to me. I'm not sure if you've started studying for the LSATs.
A little bit.
On the reading comprehension portion, you're supposed to finish a 35 question, 4 or 5 paragraphs. So like each paragraph has, 5 or 6 questions associated with it. You're supposed to finish those 35 questions in 35 minutes or something along those lines. It took me an hour to get through 1 paragraph the first time I took a test. And I just busted it. And I worked way harder than the other people taking the LSAT that I knew. And I took I had to have taken hundreds of practice tests. Yeah. So by the time I got to the LSAT, I knew I wanted to take this. I knew this was my path. So in March, I turned down the job, applied to all of the schools I wanted to go to. And I'll get a little more into that, with your how to apply stuff.
Yeah.
And I turned on the job in March. I took the LSAT in June of 2015. I got in I got a 155, which wasn't incredible, but it was good enough to get into the schools I wanted to go. And I got in July, and I started in August of 2015.
That's awesome, man. That's impressive. All right. So obviously I'm not in my studio, and obviously you're not at the office because of COVID-19, which is obviously such a fun thing. What are some legal issues that like surrounding this whole thing? So let's say if I have COVID and I go up to my friend and he gets and I know I have COVID, but I still go outside, I dap him up and we hang out and he ends up getting it. Could I possibly be charged? What are some legal stuff that goes on with like this whole thing that's
So
going
in
on?
that scenario, the way that you would get in trouble is if you had a quarantine order that you violated.
Mm-hmm.
In that instance, you could be criminally charged. Okay. Another couple instances, there's a lot of, while personal injury, what I do, has taken a significant hit because the nature of personal injury is you got to be kind of mobile to get hurt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you're driving your car more, you're probably going to get in a car crash more likely. If you're going to work, you're likely going to get hurt at work more likely. So there's less people getting hurt right now, which is a good thing. But in terms of my business, there's less people to be helping. But, as strange as this sounds, my industry is recession proof because once this all ends, there's going to be such a high unemployment that people will be more willing to sue.
Yeah.
So they're going to be more willing to get that settlement check than they would have if, they had an income coming in consistently for these last few months. So, it's a dark side to what I do, but, it's just the truth of it. Other implications, if you were to theoretically be going to work still and your office were to, for example, be in a state where they don't have a essential business order, so they don't have to shut down, but they could. But then let's say someone at that office or that kitchen tests positive for corona, gives it to a coworker. That coworker who gets sick could have a workers' compensation claim against the company that would and should have shut that place down, which would have avoided that injury. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
There's also employment issues. Are people getting fired because of this? Of course. Are people getting fired for discrimination purposes because of it? Of course. Employment law right now is kind of going through the roof. It's not something we practice in, but it is something that's being affected right now.
Yeah. There's a bunch of people I know are just like me included right now. I'm basically out of a job right now because I'm just waiting till because I was talking to a doctor a couple weeks ago on the podcast. He was saying this is only the beginning, so it's gonna take a lot of time.
Unfortunately, I think it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better.
It's gonna get worse.
I'm prepared for it.
This is like the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So now let's switch to something that's not as depressing. One of the best shows on Netflix right now, Tiger King.
I love Tiger King. I think that there is so many legal implications in it. I actually have 20 pieces of content lined up ready for it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to go that deep. I think I'm going to just pick probably 5 or 6 of my favorites. But there's so much stuff to talk about from it. I thought it was pretty fascinating. I actually didn't like it the first episode. Then I gave it another shot, and then it just got better and better.
Yeah.
I like The Outsider. Obviously, everybody and their mother watched Game of Thrones. It's my favorite show.
How'd you at the finale? Man?
Yeah. It's okay. I don't know how you end something with that many loose ends. It's kind of like Lost. I'd say good shows. I don't really. I'm struggling right now to find a good show. To be honest, I've been actually considering starting a Twitch stream.
Oh yeah.
I love the game, and it's kind of my release. It gets me to be focusing on one thing. It's almost like meditation for me.
Yeah. Recently I've been gaming a lot too, because nothing really else to do. I actually set up this whole thing where I can control games with just my voice.
That's cool.
So if I'm playing Mario Kart, I just say, all right, start, left, right. It'll turn, it'll guide the whole thing. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I wish I had right now was a really good poker app to play with my friends.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's nothing out there that's good. I've been doing research on it for weeks, and there's nothing.
All right, so I asked all my friends questions I should ask about Tiger King, and the one I got like a billion answer questions from Carol Baskins. What do you think? Did she do it?
I think the circumstantial evidence does point to her doing it.
Yeah.
But
Like obviously we can't be sure.
it's hard to say. I do think that she was just the way that she dressed, so childish.
Yeah, like the leopard print and everything.
Almost like, you know, she's a very vengeful person.
Yeah.
And the fact that she followed through with this civil lawsuit against Joe was just, she ruined his life.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that Joe didn't, fight back, because he definitely was a dick back to her. But, it's hard for me to say. I would say there is a good chance, just based on all the circumstances around it, because of the way that she handled the money, because of the way that, she's surrounded by tigers. It would have been really easy to get rid of the evidence.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
The show, like there's like me, it was like me, my mom, my dad, and my cousin, we binged that show in one day. We did not leave our couch, and at the end we're just like, wait, what? And then we go on Twitter, they reopened the case.
Yeah.
And then now they're making season 2 now, which is going to be based around the whole legal thing that's going on now.
What's
pretty interesting.
What's pretty crazy is there was so much to cover.
Yeah.
A crazy fact that wasn't even talked about is, if you remember the arson of the building,
Yeah.
alligators that were killed.
Yeah.
Those were Michael Jackson's alligators.
Wait, what?
Those were Michael Jackson's alligators. Like, they didn't even have, because of all the stuff that was happening at the show, they didn't even have the time to mention that.
Those were Michael Jackson's. God damn.
So, it was just, there was so much to unpack with it.
That just shook me. Because in that show, so much stuff happens, you don't believe it's real. So, yeah, I was thinking about that too. Like, what do you think they cut out? Because, like, this happened over a span of, like, 20-something years. So, like, if that's the stuff that made it, what was left on cutting room floor? Because either it was too messed up, or it wasn't, or it was, like, still, because, like, Joe was obviously not a normal man.
No, he's a strange guy.
Yes, but he's also one of my favorite.
He wants himself, don't get me wrong.
He is one of my favorite human beings on earth.
He's a funny guy. Definitely an interesting dude, though. I could go through a list of multiple cases that should have been employment discrimination, labor and employment stuff, workers' compensation claims, third-party liability cases. He has tons of stuff that he could have been sued for.
Wait, because you're a personal injury guy, what would the lawsuit be if your arm gets ripped off from a tiger?
Two things. I actually put a specific piece of content out on it.
I saw that. That's why I was like, can we elaborate?
One, she was on the job.
Mm-hmm.
So workers' compensation would likely apply. But knowing Joe being so cheap the way he was, he probably didn't even have workers' comp insurance.
Mm-hmm.
He could be sued personally on the homeowner's policy. So he probably had an insurance policy like for the entire estate. That could get sued. And if it were deemed as grossly negligent or even reckless, he could get sued personally for that.
Damn.
It's a good case. That was a multi-million-dollar case if she would have pursued it, but she didn't do anything. She showed up to work 2 days later.
Which is honestly the most baller thing I've ever seen in my life.
So,
I lost an arm, whatever. Let's get more tigers. And then with me, because like I'm a martial artist, I'll hurt my rib. I won't go into work for like a week. Like, nah.
Yeah.
God. It's an amazing show. All right. What else was there? All right. So now, as I said before, I want to be a lawyer. So, sorry about that. What are some tips you have for someone who wants to get into law school? I am in Canada, so probably the system is different. But say I want to apply to the States, what would the thing be like?
I would say the concepts are the same. Don't, unless you are going to get into an Ivy League school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you are or aren't. You could have straight A's. I have no idea.
I don't.
But if you want to go to a Harvard and that is your dream, go for it. But if you don't want to be $250,000 in debt,
Yeah.
go where you get the most scholarship. And the way that you get the most scholarship is to look online, check the profile of school you want to go to. I knew I wanted to go to a school in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I did not care where I went because I knew my path was very specific. I wanted to be a civil litigator and I wanted to be in Philadelphia. So I wanted to go to Temple, Villanova, or Drexel, very likely. I wasn't going to get 10, so I didn't even try.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at their website and I looked up what is the average LSAT score of this school. Drexel had like a 153. It's a better school now than it was when I went. And it was like a 153 average, something like that. And the GPA was like a 3.3. I had a 3.3 or a 3.39 or something at Penn State.
Yeah.
And I had a 155 LSAT. I wasn't blowing anything out of the water. Like I had good stuff, but it's not like I'm going in with a 4.0.
Yeah.
So what I did, and what I guarantee will work for anybody listening to this, is apply to every single school geographically within 250 to 300 miles of the school you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Apply to every single one of them that has a comparable LSAT GPA. And if you get into any one of those schools with scholarship, call the school you want to go to and say, I got X amount of scholarship to this school. I want to go to your school. Please match it, and I'm going there. So what I did is I applied to Duquesne, to Widener, to Drexel, to Villanova, to Temple, to Penn State, to schools in Boston, to schools in New York, to schools in DC. And I got a basically almost full ride. I had to pay $2,500 out of pocket.
Yeah.
That's what it wound up being, to Duquesne. But I would have had to pay $15,000 out of pocket to go to Drexel. Wow. So I called Drexel and said, hey, Duquesne gave me this offer. What can you do? They said, we'll match it and we'll pay for your first year books. So
that's awesome.
I went there for, as tuition raises, your price is going to go up, even though the scholarship will remain the same. So I wound up paying about $25,000 to $4,000 a year in tuition. And then second, make sure that your GPA is not dependent on keeping a 3.0. You can negotiate for that. Some schools will require you to keep a minimum GPA in order to keep your scholarship. I can tell you one of my friends lost their almost full ride and had to pay Drexel's absurd $50,000 a year tuition to get his degree after his first year when he failed a class. So, you're going to get a bad grade in law school. It is on a bell curve. It's meant to give people C's. It's not an easy program.
Yeah.
If you get below a 3.0 and your scholarship says you lose your scholarship under a 3.0, you're shit out of luck. And let me tell you that my GPA, it was below a 3.0, but I needed to keep above a 2.2. So I kept my scholarship. And a worse graduating scholarship than my friend I told you about, but same school, different scholarship types. I kept mine, he lost his.
All right.
So apply to all the schools you can that are similar to the one you want to go to. Try to get the most money possible.
All right. I will. Yeah. I'm only second year right now.
Yeah.
So I'm probably just I'm going to, I started studying for the LSATs a little bit already. Like,
Don't stress about it until junior year.
so
Most
so
important thing is LSAT score, GPAs. That's it. That's all they look at.
all
And
right.
then a personal statement. And then ideally, just go to the school and say, hey, can I come check it out? Then you get in front of them. They can put a face to a name.
Yeah.
And then you say, hey, I'd love to just sit in on a class. Just get in there. What I did with Drexel is I went and sat in on the trial ad program. I got to see them do a mock jury for OJ. It was really cool. And then I was like, yeah, this is the place I want to go. But I didn't want to show my cards too early because that was before they offered me my scholarship.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, that stuff, like because 'cause I have a couple cousins that are lawyers, and the way they make it sound is like the same way as you were making it sound, like it's both like I don't know, it's extreme. It's kind of like there's so much factors that go into this one thing, but you can negotiate it, which I just didn't even know that you could.
Think about it. You're dealing with lawyers. You're applying to lawyers. Lawyers love to negotiate. So treat it that.
Yeah, that's true.
And you go to law school to think like a lawyer, not to, learn anything that you actually use. Because I basically use nothing that I learned in law school, other than, some of the concepts. Like studying for the bar was the worst thing ever. It just was terrible. But
It's not funny. Not a fun time.
Pass it once, then you're done. And I passed it the first time.
LSATs are not fun from what I've heard.
LSATs are a cakewalk compared to the bar.
Yeah.
But
what's the bar like? What's that test like?
It's 4 straight months of basically 60, 70 hours a week of studying. And you take 2-day test. Day 1 is 200 multiple choice. Day 2 is 8 essays. I can tell you, I could not have studied any harder. I passed the bar exam by 0 points. I passed the bar exam with the exact score you need to pass the bar exam. So if I got 1 multiple choice question wrong, I failed. And I could not have possibly worked any harder. It's just brutal.
Wow. Now I'm kind of scared.
You'll be fine, man. It's just hard work. Let me show you the proof. Look.
Oh, he has evidence here.
So this is the letter they send you.
Yeah.
The 272.
Oh, wow.
That's the score you need to pass in Pennsylvania.
I applaud you, sir.
Anything else for me?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me. It was definitely a fun time.
Thanks a lot for doing this. So, Hive, that is it for today's episode of the Brarcast. As always, stay hydrated and
wear a condom.
Damn right. See ya, Hive.